Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to our webinar. I want to
Yeah,
welcoming you all. So today we will discuss about creating impactful ads.
yeah.
And my name is Vika, and I'll be your moderator along with Pak Mahes today.
Mhm.
Okay. And also I would like to introduce. I think that most of you already know who is Pak Mahes. Pak Mahes is
Mm.
our co-founder of neuroscience, and also he's the managing director. I believe that he has done a lot of research related to advertising, how to make it viral, and what is inside that viral advertising. Okay, without further ado, let's welcoming Pak Mahes to kick off this webinar.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you very
the
much,
floor is
Vika.
yours.
Thank you very much. I think so in the earlier few years back we had done a similar thing. Now it is kind of getting a little more deeper on that. And this is more getting into actually the learnings from the ads we have tested around so let me start. I'll just okay, let's keep the camera. Is it here or yeah? No, 1 second. I think I will just hide the camera so that yeah, it's not
Okay, and
okay.
while Pamahes is preparing, I just want to remind you all, if you have any question, feel free to drop it. If it's
Mhm.
possible, we will read your question and Pamahes will answer it. Otherwise, we will read some other time and maybe we will connect you with the answer for it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
Okay.
you. So I think so. Let's start. I think so. This what we are trying to explain to you is based on 300 plus ads we have tested using EEG. EEG is what basically electroencephalogram, which is a way where we can measure the brain waves. I'm going to explain a little bit more about it as we go along. So hold on to it. So, and it is done across so many categories, so across 27 categories, baby care categories, beverages, food, cooking ingredients, personal care, OTC, cigarettes. So across a variety of categories and variety of target groups. So it is pretty robust in that sense. So however, I think we also did a study for milk category in the last year, 2024, where we did a kind of syndicated work and we tested around 30 ads in the liquid milk category. So a lot of, because of some of the client conflicts, and I don't want to show examples of real ads tested by a client, we are going to show many examples from this study where we actually used our own internal study to across all these 30 odd ads we have tested. And that also makes sense because sometimes people will say, no, 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 this kind of thing, when I say example, it works for this category, but not for that. So if the examples are kind of from similar category or same category, then it's more easily relatable that okay, yeah, in the same category this works, does not work, and therefore the principle is this, that way. However, in one or two cases, I've shown other examples where I did not have a robust example of that learning from this list. So I think let's start first a brief understanding of what is EEG. I'm not going to go into technicalities, but enough technicalities so that you know uh, what it is and how it is really work. Okay, I think at a very broad level, I think you should. I think this year, all of you have heard about it and discussed, which is there's two part of the decision making, like subconscious thinking and this conscious thinking. Uh, Conscious thinking is where your prefrontal lobe, where your conscious thinking is happens, thinks about it, logically and with all information. Well, subconscious thinking is where it happens mostly in your amygdala, the limbic brain, uh, which is very old part of the brain, and it's very fast, intuitive. It takes immediate reaction to things without any thinking. So a lot of people tell people when they're angry and they say something first think before you tell, right? Don't tell me without any thinking. So that's what's happening. When people are angry, when people are emotionally charged, their amygdala works, and so they tell things which are without thinking, or if you put your hand on a warm thing, suddenly your hand will automatically remove itself. And then you will think, oh, I've removed my hand because it was hot. You don't really think first, it is hot and therefore it is bad, so I should remove it, because your system one thinking automatically works there. So same thing happens when you see an ad. When you see an ad, when you see any stimulus for that matter, or listen to a sound, first reaction is always from subconscious. The subconscious already makes a decision, whether they want to look at it, how they want to look at it, whether it's engaging or not. And then the conscious thinking starts to come into place, but it's very delayed. So we say that 90% of your thoughts, emotions are driven by subconscious. Conscious comes later on and it just kind of, what do you say, creates logical framework around it after that, after we're already gone through those kind of subconscious thinking. And there are a lot of literature around it and a lot of Nobel laureates who have talked about this whole thing of subconscious thinking. So as a company, we have using, and that's what generation, that's why we are calling ourselves neurosensor. We have been using a lot of tools, trying to get information from a subconscious perspective from consumers. So using EEGs, using eye tracking, using portable and static eye tracking, implicit testing. Not going to talk about all of them, but focusing on EEG today. But the whole point is that together the subconscious coupled with what conscious consumers say from a behavior perspective, from other perspective, obviously subconscious cannot tell you all that. Subconscious is mostly to relate to how people react to stimulus, right? And that's where we use subconscious largely to test the brands, test the ads, test the products, test the packs, test the shopper environment. So how consumers are reacting, to various things, to a different stimulus. You can always need a lot of other information from behavior perspective, past attitude perspective, etc., which is mostly by conscious, and therefore we get a holistic point of view. And therefore we are creating a lot of products around subconscious, how to use subconscious measurement across different part of your product life cycle. So from a market understanding perspective, we are creating a neuro segmentation. From an offer development perspective, we have created a EEG based product testing, which we are using for many clients now. Pack sense is again eye tracking. Mindsight ad is what we are going to focus on today. This is what we are going to focus on today, and other things, in future we'll create other, webinars on that. And we have created something on neuro equity, which to me is the really most realistic way we should look at equity. Neuro image to get the imagery and shopper sense for shopper, etc. So today there are a lot of products. Today we are going to spoke about Mindsight ad, which is using how we test ads using EEG. So little more deeper into that. So basically, how do we test that? A lot of people are confused and say, oh, how can we, understand, which is ad is working, not working. I think if you basically what happens is, there because of the technologically advancements and all that, earlier this EEG used to be like, 27 node EEG, where they had to put in different parts of the brain to capture the all the nodes. But now with the advancement in the last so many years, 5 years or so, 5-10 years, I think they call a singular node or bipolar node EEGs, which we use because it's non-intrusive. If you use a 27 mode, it becomes extremely intrusive, which makes the behavior completely wrong for the consumer perspective itself. But what it does, it gives you these rays, these waves. So it gives us, when you put a thing on the consumer and show them something, any stimulus for that matter, not only showing ad, it can be showing an environment, a imagery, a program, asking them to eat something, anything you do, all the time, your brain is actually creating these waves. Anything you do. So it's creating gamma waves, which is more like problem solving, concentration. Somebody wants to really understand things, focusing, attention. Beta is slightly lesser level, which is, more busy and active mind. Alpha is little more restful. Theta is more getting into drowsiness. And delta is almost like sleeping. So these waves, every second, these waves are generated. And these waves is what we collect using this device. Now, once we collect this device, waves, we get into what we call as uh, attention score and relaxation score based on this. Now, that's where the algorithm comes into play. So it's called valence. Basically, valence is, and it's also, if you Google it and things like that, it's part of. I'm just seeing one article here. So it's part of a regularly what do you call, it's not something which is we have created our own algorithms, but even other players would have created their own algorithms. Basically, it's called arousal valence space, and that is something you can even Google it now right now, and it'll give you very similar to what we have. But the only thing is, it's our own proprietary. So arousal is on the the tension space where higher arousal means higher engagement, and relaxation is your valence score, which tells you higher relaxation means um, more brain is relaxed, and a combination of this gives you whether people are engaged, bored, snooze, puzzled. I'm not going to get into detail or how we analyze, how we get it. But the idea is with this data, once you show ad or anything using uh, this brain, like this brainwave monitor, we get second by second understanding of how does the ad work. And this is the starting point of how we try to analyze what works and what does not work in the ad. So, for example, in this case, for example, you see in the first 3 seconds, the ad was bored, and then it really almost became snooze. And then suddenly there's a something happened in the ad and it increased engagement. And then something happened which puzzled them and moderate. Moderate is somewhere in the middle, right? Which is I'm moving from one to another, but it's somewhere in the middle. So I'm neither engaged nor bored or something in the what do you say periphery or in the borderline. And then same thing happens, right? So what we did was we looked at all the ads we have, a bulk of the ads, and we try to understand when in the seconds of the ad where the ad is engaging, what makes it engaging? Why the ad is engaging, and if they are boring, what makes it boring? And an overall context also, what is the ad theme is about? What is actually introduced at this point of time? And what is there in the beginning? Like that for each of the ad to see an overall perspective, what could be driving this ad? And the same kind of thing, in one ad can be boring, one ad can be engaging. So what is the difference what makes them one engaging and one boring? And that's where we try to deep dive and try to understand what makes things, how to basically the whole idea is how to make the engagement higher, right? So what we did was we looked at while there can be innumerable elements in an ad. So when our topic said, create the right elements of the ad or craft the right elements, we looked at these 6 things, usually which are there in all the ads or most of the ads, which is one is the product demo, one is special music, mascots or cartoons. Now these can be there in some, may not be there. Brand ambassador, presence of brand ambassador and what kind of brand ambassadors. Emotional or dramatic scenes. So when the emotional scenes come or dramatic scenes come, does that change and what kind? And creative visual effects. Nowadays with the, all the technology thing happening, our ads are not like 20 years back ad, which is just like showing people. It's like all kind of creative things happening, special effects. I think special effect might be a better word for that. So all special effects are there. So does it really help, the special effects? So what we did was we looked, like you said, we looked at using the EEG, and we tried to figure out which element out of these are more engaging than the other. And then also how the same elements can be engaging in one ad and not engaging in another ad. And that gives us the contrast to understand why it is working in one and not working. And therefore, give us some guidance on what kind of, like a product demo, what kind of product demo should I make, If brand ambassador, how should I portray my brand ambassador, etc., etc. So we are giving you some guidance on this. It's not that these are you know, like a gospel or something like that. So idea is to take some guidelines from war learnings and then and like when you discuss with your creative team or creative agency, you can discuss and tell them, can we use these kind of guidelines to create ad if you are at least using one of these, or if you're not using any of these, then can I use some of these things to improve the content of my ad. So how to now we that was the background, right? Now we come to the impact, how to make impactful ads. So what are the key learnings? So before we start with the each of the thing, I wanted to explain this one important thing, which is this is, for example, is the data from all our 300 plus studies. Like what is the engagement, what do you call, the percentage of distribution. So like everything in the world, it follows a normal distribution, right? So it starts from the bottom, increases, peaks at around 30 to 35, and then drops, and then around 50, it kind of maximizes. So one 2 point here to note is like average engagement is roughly 30%. So anything above 30 technically is above average. That means you have better than market advertisement. And second point to note is we have no advertisement tested which is more than 50% engagement. And the reason for that is human brain is very power hungry. So it engages, but it keeps on losing attention, and that is a way for brain to cool down. It's like brain's way of, your computer, for example, if it heats, there's a fan which runs at the back to cool it down. So the brain also, the moment it focuses, the neurons fire and it needs to cool down. So it cannot sustain the engagement for more than 5 to 6 seconds in most cases. And then it'll get into moderate zone and try to cool down, then again get engaged. The question is, should not get into the bored zone. As long as it's not engaged, but in somewhere in the transition zone, it's fine. Uh, and therefore, what makes a difference, and that's a key point I'm going to say, please remember this point, which I'm going to say now, is you don't have to create an ad which is like 100% engaging, right? It's not like the other end. You have to be just little bit better than the competition. You have to just inch it, if your current ad is 25% engaging, you have to get it to 40% engagement, and that will make a whole lot of difference. It is what we call as the S curve. The till 25% it will have no impact, and in 35% it will have 80% impact. So always remember, when you're making your ad, you it need not be the Oscar winning, what do you call, or Cannes winning ad, and that level of engagement. But is your ad at least 35 to 40% scenes in the ad is engaging enough to the audience to hook them, so that they get the key message and the key things from the ad, so that do not your thing or your spend is not wasted. So with that in perspective, we start with the elements of the ad and say, okay, which ad makes the ad more engaging, and what we need to do to make the ads more engaging. Now, if you feel that some of these things are pretty, what do you call, something you already know, that's fine. I think, because what I'm going to say is not all new, or everything is going to be new. Hopefully, some of you will get some new learnings from this. But what is truth is truth. Maybe you already know the truth, and sometimes people try to avoid the truth, but that always comes back to bite us. So, so 6 elements of the ads which we evaluate, like we discussed, is brand ambassador, emotional or dramatic scenes, special music, mascots or cartoons, creative visual effects, and product demo. Usually, an ad is comprised of these kind of elements. So before we get into the each of the component and explain what is a finding, a quick poll, so that we get an idea of what, according to you, you use more in your ads? Which of these elements you use more in your ads? Vika, if you can run the
Yeah. Okay. Can you see the poll now? Okay, I need your help to fill up this poll. So which element you use more in your ad? We
yeah, and
can
you can
actually this
add
is a
more
multiple
than one. Yeah, yeah.
multiple answer, yeah. Is it mascot, brand ambassador, special music? Normally jingle, yeah. Nowadays, like people love to use the jingle also, or like a product demo. It's kind of a hard selling, isn't it, Mahes? For the
Yeah.
product demo. Okay, or emotional dramatic scenes, or creative visual effect. I think that many of participants are coming from the marketers, so I
Hmm.
believe they are always in this area. Okay, so it's already more than 50. Wait, let's wait for a moment.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I
Good.
will end the poll and show the result.
Hmm.
Okay, so as of now, 61% people say that they are love to use a product demo,
Hmm.
brand ambassador. Oh no, it's a emotional dramatic scenes. It's very related with Indonesian condition, I guess, yeah.
Hmm.
And then creative visual effect and also brand ambassador.
Yeah. So this
Okay,
is
is it?
very interesting, because
Mm,
remember two things from here. Highest you said product demo, and the lowest you said special music, right? So
yes,
towards the end of the thing, when we come back to tell you, what we thought we found is more impactful, this will become interesting. I think we can remind me this one when we discuss that slide. Yeah.
sure. I want to remind you about this. Okay, I will stop the sharing. So I want to see from our result, Mahes.
Yeah. Okay. That will come later on. First, let me go through each of them, right? So let
Hmm.
me start now. So let's start with the uh, first one. So let's start with something more funny. I think very few people use it. I think, uh, but it's like I don't know. We'll see whether it's important or not. But uh,
So
obviously,
cute.
because sometimes it's related to categories, which is more kiddish, kids card a category and things like that. But sometimes, mascots are not really only kids category. As we go ahead and explain. So I think first the structure will be that, for each of these things, we'll show you one slide where we show some ads which are working, some ads which are not working ads, and the reasons for that. Then we'll show you the slide on what, according to us, is the neuro reason, and the third is what, in our opinion, is the right way or what is the guidelines we can take, if you want to do a go about. Now, if you take this one, this ad, let's play this ad. Today, we are going to the beach. You're back on your own? Okay. You can hear, right, Nita? Favorite thing
Yes,
to
it's audible, Mahes.
you can see hear the music. I just want to understand.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
We
okay.
can see it. We can hear it.
Now we can take it as a music, or we can take it as remembrance of the right mascots and things like that. But basically, this ad is one of the higher ones. As I told you the earlier, the benchmarks 29% engagement. This ad has one of the higher levels, 43%. While another one, if you see,
Kenalin, susu tenggol baru. Susu tenggol hidung. Ini bukan susu biasa. Ini terbuat dari susu sapi segar yang penuh rasa. Susu tenggol coklat untuk berani beraksi. Susu tenggol strawberry untuk raih mimpi. Susu tenggol banana untuk semangat tiap hari. Susu tenggol hidung. Susu sapi segarnya fantastis. Sehatnya berlapis. Susu tenggol hidung. Ya.
no, basically, I think one is this ad, the Tango Kid ad was mostly using in-house characters, right? And then the pack also has in-house characters. While Ultra Mimi also has kind of characters which are in-house, but the way they use the music, they kind of make them almost like, the shark one, which is so famous among kids. So basically our learning is from this is that, and this is not only these are just examples, but just to show you the contrast of the engagement levels, but across all, even in when we do pack tests and things like that, with different icons and logos, we found that the non-popular cartoons usually do not work. And the reason is three main neuro reason. One is familiarity bias. So obviously people are not familiar for those. So familiarity always triggers something in the brain and makes them feel very comfortable. And therefore I am willing to see it. If something is not familiar, I'm most likely, kind of switch it, Second is emotional resonance, which is strong emotional connection. There's a story behind it. uh, the characters or the music, there's a story behind that. I know the person, like in the sense, I kind of relate more to that, so it triggers some kind of joy, nostalgia, and it is connected, then that also gets connected to the brand, or transferred to the brand. And third is obviously cognitive ease. Like I was saying, one of the main fundamental problem with the human brain is it consumes 20% of our, energy. It's always in the energy uh, saving mode. Like our brain, like our, the laptop, sometimes we put energy saving mode. So brain is always on that mode. And for that reason, it always try to avoid anything new, which requires more effort, unless it's really important. Ads obviously are not so important. So they will not put extra energy trying to understand something which is new and try to create that. So therefore, it always, if you are using cartoons, try to use popular cartoons, and spending too much money on non-popular cartoons or creating in-house cartoon will not work unless you really spend money to create a long-term uh, understanding that you're going to do that. So that's our next slide, which is, it's not that all these mascots, are not going to work over time. I think there are a lot of global examples which are really working well, but it's not that they have just suddenly created something and no, and then removed it, and then create something else, and it's very consistent. They have to you have to like assume that it's for life, then you have to put it on all your packs and other touch points, and other materials, and obviously possibly create additional merchandise and productions. I mean, maybe nowadays in digital world, creating uh, videos with stories, of these icons, and how do they play with each other, or how do they bring things to life. And therefore, the first line is, in our EEG, we found that anytime non-popular cartoons are there or non-popular mascots, it does not create
That
any engagement.
works, right? Yeah.
It does not work. Anytime a popular one is there, it works
Okay.
most of
But
the
this
time.
is interesting question, Mahes. Does this kind of a cartoon or mascot is only works on a product that intended for kids? Is there any learning from your
Not really. I'm saying technically, yeah, it's more like that, because see, cartoons are very something which kids like. For example, here in this example, if you see here, there are some, Mr. Muscle, Mr. Clean, and all those kind of things, right? That's not meant for kids, right?
yeah
The Peanuts, Mr. Peanuts, or
mhm.
even the this one, it's
Michelin, right? That one?
Michelin,
Yeah.
not, is it Michelin? Yeah. Yeah, I think Michelin. So that guy, it's not meant for kids, right? But they have made a like a brand as icon, So I think one is you need try to have a mascot if you don't have for your product, because it is something which creates a kind of connection, between you and the consumers, and brings consistency to the
Yeah.
brand and the communication. So even if you have a 5-second ad on a YouTube and you have that mascot, a brain automatically will connect, and then they also in the brain they will play other ads of the brand, and so therefore it creates a kind of multiple ripple effect.
Mhm.
uh, Otherwise, every time the content is new and this person and this mascot is not there, it does not help. So mascot is important. However, you need to make sure that you invest in that mascot over a long period of time. Uh, and also create it on products. So on the shelf also it becomes very easy to see the product. And
Yes.
I see a lot of people not using it in Mascot, especially so. And then whenever you're using, sometimes that is where you have to create your own product, right? So the point here was, don't create a cartoon just for the sake of it. You create a mascot almost like that, and then spend time on that. If you're using a cartoon figure to attract the audience, attract the kids, better use a licensed one, a famous one, need not be the most expensive. I know that these cost money, and it cost license fees and all that, and some of the brands can or some brands cannot do it. But just using any normal cartoon does not help unless you have a long-term strategy, creating a mascot and things like that, right? So because that's what we have seen in our test, it does not work. Um, Sometimes it can be just distracting and reduces the impact of that. So
Yes.
that's the first part. Okay. Any questions? If you have, just keep on telling me, right, in each part.
Yes.
Yeah. So in production, a second is product demo, right? This is one of the things which most people use, right? The
Yeah.
most, right?
This is the things that people in this using it most. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
see. Yeah.
So let's see in the same category, what kind of product demo works and what does not work.
Hidup penuh rintangan yang tak terduga. Hanya yang terpercaya yang dapat bermanfaat. Saat hidup hidupnya perjalanan, pastikan kemudian yang berdamping. Ketika cuaca tak menentu, pastikan kemudian baik. Saat lembur, pastikan kemudian yang bermanfaat. Hadapi rintangan kehidupan bersama dengan kemudian. Bergerak rasakan kemudiannya dari Nestle.
So Beer Brand has always been an iconic brand, right, in Indonesia. But like the way now this, you have seen this one, I think they are showing the same milk, plain simple milk, but in a very different way, right? Trying to create some magic around it and a dragon shape and trying to show protection in a certain way, and with some special effects and all that. And another way is
Baiknya susu UHT Indomilk Good Milk dengan double lock protection, perlindungan ganda yang menjaga kebaikan nutrisi susu untuk dinikmati keluarga. Indomilk UHT, the good milk.
so if you saw here, it went away very fast, but if you see it was hardly anything, I think there was something had this one. For example, just milk and just plain milk, right? Now it is a very now the moment people know, okay, you're putting the milk on this thing, people get completely what do you call it, disengaged, because they know, oh, you're going to put this milk. Now you're going to show the somebody drinking it and somebody is drinking it. So like it is like human brain is always predicting what is going to happen next. The moment they predict and it's going to comes right, their engagement, they lose the engagement completely. So this is one way, I'm showing the same category to product, but it happens in many categories, including cooking category, for example, right? So like we have done so many product tests for ad tests for cooking, right? You show a cooking, somebody, putting the dishes, putting some, seasoning on that, and then everybody's eating and all that. The question is, how do we make your engagement? I have some examples of how we can make it better in the next slide. So why the basic product demonstration do not work is because it does not trigger dopamine, right? So brain is always trying to seek something novel. And if they see something novel, then only the dopamine will release, otherwise not. And therefore, they lose interest very quickly. Again, a plain product demo often lacks emotional appeal, does not activate the amygdala, which is emotional center, and therefore amygdala is important for long-term memory formation. So if your amygdala is not activated, you'll not remember it, even if you have seen it. So example, if you have seen the two ads, right? All of you, maybe you have not assumed that you have not seen it earlier. Which one you'll remember? The beer brand or the Indo milk? Just think about yourself. So does not, right? And the second is cognitive overload or underload. So I think there are some cases when the ad, the product, like the product demo is also very complicated with a lot of numbers and this and that, right? That also is not good. That's overload, cognitive overload. But underload is also bad. Like the one, if you're just showing a plain milk falling, from bottle to a glass, like people have seen it like 1 million times, I guess, and they have done it themselves also in the home. So what is new in that? And it does not simulate your prefrontal cortex, which is the decision making also, and therefore, the content is felt very mundane and forgettable, and therefore, it does not attract them at all. So basically, to me, I think most people use product demo, and therefore it's important to know what works. So I've got 5 examples here, or the 5 principles, I would say, in which cases we have seen it works. And it's not that these 5 are the only ways it will work. It can be other ways also. But the first one, for example, is unique, unusual ingredients. So sometimes we have seen, very unusual example. In this case, there was a facial skin serum which used real 24 karat gold, and they claimed that, and suddenly the consumers are very interested and very engaged. Okay, how is it using gold, and and showing the demo, and they made very engaging, and that worked. Or you look at what you call as organoleptic enticement. By enticement means, like, if you, like in this ad, it's a Puchu Kharum ad where they first showed a very thirsty man, and a very bad environment, a very hot environment. And so what happens there's a thing called mirror neurons, which is, and that's what activates whenever you see an ad or a program or a serial or any kind of content, you feel that you are the same person. That's what the mirror neuron, it mirrors the feeling of the other person on you. So when you show something, which is very hot, person is very thirsty and all, and then comes, the product, then the connection with that product becomes stronger. And the connection that when you are extremely thirsty, you should have this, right? But sometimes people, I see a lot of ad tests, RTDT. They show people having RTDT in a normal way. Oh yeah, I enjoy, But then that contrast is not coming. Then you're just connecting. Oh yeah, anytime I can have that, right? But then unless you show that mirror neurons, activate that mirror neurons, your connectivity with the product does not become very strong, and therefore it does not work. Third one is what we call as virtual visualization, right? In today's world, uh, like people want to know also, a lot of things. For example, in this case, for example, it's a medicine. So how does the medicine work? So what is the process? So sometimes, you cannot really understand, no, you cannot explain. If you put a lot of numbers there, etc., it doesn't matter. Brain becomes numb many ways. Can we show visually, and this is true in many cases for devices, for, home devices, or it also works pretty well in personal care, like how does the thing goes inside your cell and how does it repair. It works. I've seen many cases of personal care or where we actually show it in a very nice way, innovative way, where it makes sense. It works. And I have like 10 examples of where it works because we have done so much of personal care work. So, but you have to show it in a very interesting way, not just create some random picture, which doesn't mean anything. It has to mean something very clear so that it raises the curiosity. So the third one is exaggerated visuals. Sometimes, exaggerated visuals communicates very well because it creates the curiosity and the excitement among the consumers. And in this example, it was an ad for Sasa Santan, and where they showed, somehow the person is cooking and it goes into a fantasy world of exaggerated visual of where the Santan is coming, etc., etc. So it worked very well. And then finally, a unique visualization of showing the benefit. Like in this case, if the roti was very soft, and then how do you show that the roti was very soft? By showing it how it rolls very easily, and which kind of portrays that thing properly. So again, these are just few examples of what we have seen in our ad test. But apart from that, there can be many other. But the thing is, when you're doing a product demo, don't do a very standard product demo. Don't do something which has been done 150,000 times. Try to see how uniquely you can do a product demo, which is not done in the category or different from how it is done in the categories. Otherwise, consumers usually lose interest. So that is the second part, product demo. Third part is, any question on that, Vika?
There is a question, but later on, I think
Okay.
that after, yeah,
Okay.
I'll read it to you when
Move
it's
later on.
any question.
Sure. So the third part is brand ambassador or celebrity. Now, here's a very uncommon way of we figured out, that when it works, when it does not work, this is one perspective we have. Like there can be other perspective of what works in the celebrity, but this is because again, there's not too many ads we tested which had celebrity. So I would say this is something which is.
I think that many ads using a Korean can have a brand ambassador nowadays, ya, Pak.
So this was where Ultra Milk actually tied up with some celebrity, and they showed the celebrity as a celebrity, and in their real life setting using Ultra Milk and things like that. So that actually had very high engagement. It could be again sometimes all these could be related to multiple factors also, and they played the song which was used by celebrity and things like that. But then in other cases,
bikin gampang sakit.
Bersyukur.
Virus di mana-mana.
Bersyukur. Beri susu 7 kurma. Kebaikan susu steril dan kurma jadi satu. Beri susu steril 7 kurma. Insya Allah double khasiatnya.
so this one did not work. The ad, when we double checked with the consumers and figured out that the reason is they are confused whether this person is actually acting as a brand ambassador, like acting as in real life, or is acting as a common man, and it was not very clear. So and what our interpretation from this, and also few more examples, is that when we are using celebrity, use them as a celebrity. Don't, because people look up to them as a celebrity, don't use them as an actor to depict regular life, because then suddenly there's a dissonance among consumers. Okay, is he really celebrity, or should I listen to the real life version of that celebrity, of the person who he is depicting in real life? Is that the expert, or is that the real user, or the celebrity real user? And that confusion and many times creates this dissonance in the brain, uh, and therefore it does not work. So in our opinion, for celebrity and brand ambassador, use them as real in real life, introduce them, use them in real life setting, and accordingly, so that and the reason is, again, why celebrity and brand ambassador work is because of, again, some part this mirror neuron thing and social proof, which is trust and credibility. So it's a familiar face, especially if you admire and respect them, and therefore the moment you see that trust and credibility gets passed on to the brand and the situation. So, and it gets some kind of social proof that it's being used by others, and it's being by people who are at power position, and therefore it's good to use. And that at a subconscious level makes it like some of the barriers go away. Second is emotional connection. Again, people have emotional connections with the celebrities, and it evokes amygdala, and therefore long-term memory development is higher. And third one is obviously a feel-good thing, because you're seeing somebody who's attractive, who you admire, who have seen in various places, and therefore it creates a feel-good dopamine transmitter, which really leads to a better association of feel good with the product, and pleasure with the reward and pleasure with the product. And therefore, all these things work together so therefore, it's better to use celebrity as a celebrity and not use them as an actor. Yeah, I think if you like, this is from one of the earlier studies when we asked people what kind of influencer and celebrities we would write. Somebody who's honest and trustworthy, articulate, creative, assertive, high achiever, and also fun and casual. But again, there are many other ways, you need to select your celebrity based on the target group, is he right for your target group and all that. But I am talking more about once you select your celebrity, how to use it. You have to use it more like a celebrity in their natural setting and making them use your product rather than as an actor. So that is the third part. Now coming to the fourth one, which is we call specific music. Again, this one, again, remember, it was the least used, I think, by the people. Let's see some examples. I think in this case, I have not put any example of what not working, because when the specific music is not there, it's not there, right? So technically, I'm just taking examples of what worked.
Bangun pagi ku minum susu, bantu sehat kuat tubuhku, dukung daya tahan alami, baiki dan juga tiap pagi susu fresh and fine.
So again, there's a familiar tune, which I think is popular among Indonesians. That's what my team says. And is that true, Bika? And then
Yeah.
second is there are some special effects also here. If you see the milk, slightly different than just showing the normal. So like I said, multiple things work together in the brain. So we cannot split that actually too much. But still, here we are saying that the whole music thing is able to attract the consumers and make the engagement higher. And despite it being not such a dramatically different ad, it's just showing how the person has been drinking from beginning, childhood to now, and how she has grown and all those kind of things. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's like our childhood song, actually.
Yeah. So what happens, I'll maybe explain in the next slide, but sound is one of the most primitive uh, things, which your brain immediately reacts to. And it is something which is stored for the maximum amount of time. You can, if you have a sound you have heard 20 years back and you liked it, and if I play it again, you will remember it. But if a visual, if you see 20 years back and you liked it, if you see it now, you'll not remember it. Because the way the music is stored in the brain is directly next to the amygdala, which is the main old brain. Right. And I have another deck, and I'm also writing a book around those things. That will come later because that might just take a little more time. But the point is, music is extremely important. Now I'll show you another example, and this ad is one of the best ads we have ever tested uh, in terms of overall appeal. Obviously, there are multiple things here. There's a Korean celebrity here, but I think what worked as per our diagnostics is the song here.
Magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the abyss in a land called Honolulu. So Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. All together they would travel on a boat with yellow sail. The Jackie captain got perched on that gigantic tail. All kings and princes would row in their daydream. Pirate ships with northern flags when Puff rode down his name. Oh, oh, Magic dragons sailing from the sea and falling in the autumn mist in a land called Harmony. Magic dragons by the sea and falling in the autumn mist in a land called Harmony.
Yeah, so
I
see,
think there is a bit mistake on the brand name ya Pak ya. It's a Sasa Inti advertising.
yeah, it is Sasa ad, right, correct.
Yeah.
So what did I say? Did I say?
It's a tujuh
Oh,
kurma.
sorry, it
Yeah.
was just I think copy paste. Sorry, it was copy paste. Because earlier ad was Tuju Kurma, right? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I will change it. But the point here is, if you see here, this is almost like a musical, right? They just took the music, created the ad, take the celebrity, and created something which was actually magical. And because of this whole magic thing going up and down, the brain wave was also kind of always looking for, okay, what's going to happen next, what's going to happen. So there's a whole story, and it's almost like a movie production, right? A song production. So that's why it worked one of the best, because it kept the engagement high for almost, and remaining part was also very little bit drop and a little bit of moderation. So the score had almost like 98 percentile or something like that, if I remember. So basically this tells you, sorry, yeah. So why it works, use of this thing, obviously it triggers your dopamine, leads to pleasure, mirror neurons. This whole music things connects the entire thing and makes your experience overall more relatable. And again, stimulates hippocampus, enhances memory encoding. Like I was telling you, music memory is far stronger than visual memory. People remember songs even like which I heard 25 years back. The moment I play the song, you will be able to know, oh yeah, I know this song, right? Even if you heard three times, long back. And the number of songs you remember will be innumerable, right, in your brain. So I think the idea is to make brands used song and music more in the ads, which currently to me is the lacking thing. And in fact, even today's poll shows that, that's what I was asking you to remember. Poll also showed special music is something which is not used by consumer ads, which to me is even more challenge important, because today's digital world, will people say that it's multiple screen, right? I'm looking at a phone and then the TV going on, but I cannot, I can change my direction of my eye, I can close my eye, but ear is something which you cannot close. If something is going on, you have to hear that,
Yeah.
and your brain will automatically hear and decode it. So if your brand is using what we call as sonic branding nowadays, I think that is the next thing, especially like if you're, even if you're doing a 5-second ad on YouTube, or or an Instagram reel or whatever, a certain song, if you connect with your brand, a
Yeah.
certain music you connect, it becomes very interconnected, and your spending on media has got a gets a multiplier effect, because every time that song you can connect the brand. The moment you listen to the jingle, you connect the brand. Number small instrumental pieces. One of the ones I've always admired is how Tokopedia used to use this Tokopedia, a small thing, and now after that many other apps have started in a very crass way, not well tested.
Shopee COD also, Pak.
Yeah,
Shopee COD.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
memorable.
yeah. So I think music is something which we need to use more. I think that's where I think, in fact, use popular songs also. Nowadays, you can license them and use them, build connection. That because the moment these songs have got a history and connection, at least in India, I see lot more ads use songs, because India has more songs also, right? So Bollywood is there, right? So almost every 1 in 3 ads uses some kind of Bollywood song connection there, 1 in 4 ads. Which I think I don't see much in Indonesian ads, because I think maybe the the songs are limited. That could be one. But then you can use. I think most people here listen to Hollywood songs or the English songs more. So you can use more of that or Korean songs or whatever, But or you can create your own sonic branding, create small jingles, create small instrumental pieces and things like that. Then we get into creative visual effect. Now, this is also important and nowadays becoming very important because of this whole increase change in AI and now you don't really need to shoot anything, right? Everything can be created by AI. So and whatever you want to show, you can show, So there's no limitation by itself, which we need to keep ourselves. So whatever you can imagine, you can show. So I'm showing you two examples of here in terms of what kind of thing worked and what kind of thing did not work.
Dokomal, cocokin menu workout biar maksimal. Strawberry rose, cherry strategy biar FYP, sembari pose glamorous. Vanilla chamomile. Have fun ngarang lagu Viola, cause chat kamu cuman emot smile. Honey Earl Grey milk tea. Planning honey day buat traveling, biar greget chia milk. Ajak bestie.
So very Gen Z ya Pak.
Aktivitas di mana kita dijudge malas gerak, padahal kita lagi mau gerak. Mari mager bareng Greenfields Extra.
Now it's again very engaging ad. I think because of the way they used, the text.
The text, yeah. It's very Gen Z, we call it that.
Yeah, very Gen Z. It's connected, the language, they showed connected the flavor with the language and some of this thing, that thing. The way they showed the people, very, in a very casual way and things like that. So the whole idea is they used all that in a very interesting way to create some visual effects and things like that. With the text and and also the flavors and all that, which made it engaging for the consumers. While in another case,
We can't hear the voice.
Jangan Mall, pemurnian susu dengan semua nutrisi layanan. Hotel terbaik untuk ciptakan momen layanan.
so they use all this game and all, but just too extended, like suddenly after a certain point of people lost interest in what's happening, that kind of thing. However, to remind you that last scene here actually is one of the engaging ones because the way they showed milk was slightly different again. Compared to other ads, right? Where is it? This one, like a diamond, right? So that was really unique, something which they did. But overall, it was very disengaging again because they used a special effect, of visual, virtual, and gaming and all, but really not very engaging. Because again, it did not connect to the right message of the ad. It did not make it very engaging. So, but overall, I think we need to use more and more of social this whole effect because it enhances your memory encoding. The quick edits, right? The quick, like in this case example, the second ad had a very long way. They were showing the game happening, right? It was not edited very well. So I think very important is to do quick edits. Like moving one to another. Natural eye movement. Why it works is again because it imitates natural eye movements, what they call it saccades. Essentially, very rapid eye movement, and that's how consumers are able, to like move from one to another very quickly, I think. And in today's basically fast-paced world, and where people's ability to absorb things is becoming very weak and they cannot concentrate on something for long, we need to create visual effects to create greater kind of the way we need to portray the things to them. So one of the few things which we can use is what we call as kinetic typography, and that's what they used. I wanted to say because that's what the Greenfields use, kinetic typography. And implication of that is when you show a benefit or a message, you just show it like once all together, or you make it like that one word appear at a time, cut, 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 cut. So the brain is able to read that kinetic typography better, where one words come at a time, and then you can absorb it and keep it. Unexpected movements. You need to show unexpected movements and quick edits. So these are the things which you need to align with all your physio, like all your creative visualization or special effect, because that's what the today's world is expecting from ads. They don't want a very long, drawn, long shot ads where somebody is, something is happening for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. In 1 second, half a second, you have changed your shot, and that's what makes things engaging. So quick edits is extremely important, and with kinetic typography, unexpected movements, and that's what creates engagement along with the other elements. I think we are just running a little late, so we'll just quickly go to the last couple of them. So dramatic scenes, emotions.
Aduh, wah hebat ya anaknya. Iya, Sals. Ya.
Makasih ya. Untung ada kamu. Dan selalu ada susu Milko. Praktis, bernutrisi, di mana aja, kapan aja. Enak. Milko, susu Belgia creamy, kayak vitamin dan mineral. Dengan rasa coklat dan stroberi yang lezat.
Oh, itu rahasianya. Aku selalu beri Kevin nutrisi terbaik.
Ayo guys, apapun aktivitasmu, mulai dari Milko ya, dari Wings.
So here the initial scene, that was the one which led to the engagement, which is about how this guy helps. And it's a very generic thing. A lot of people have done in the past, but every time it happens, somebody helping the underdog win. And that's where I think all the emotions come in. So emotion is an extremely important part of that. And whenever you ingrain your emotion into that, it leads to a high level of engagement.
Berani jadi beda tuh mood banget. Beda versi gue, jadi tinggi dan kuat. Halotin yang tinggi kalsium dan berprotein. Tumbuh tuh ke atas.
So again, this was interesting because of the way they showed, it's a different way of dramatic scenes. And again, showing something unusual is always leads to high engagement. And this whole, flipping over and, and all these things, it's created a lot of engagement. The same thing could have been shown a very straight way, oh, I drink this and I am able to grow and I am able to become tall, or this. That does not create engagement. No, you have to show it in a very visual way, and in whatever creative way, either using visual effects or without visual effects, or just using these kind of things, dramatic scenes and emotions. Again, the same points. I think when we summarize, we'll see at least there are 3 or 4 commonalities because of which why all these things work. So again, emotional engagement, limbic system. Again, because of that, the brain always prioritizes the emotional stimuli. They remember emotional stimuli for long. Again, emotional stimuli leads to dopamine release, which leads to pleasure and reward. And it also again creates mirror neurons where you feel closer to the character and you feel that you are the character, ultimately. That is the ultimate where you become so associated with the character. Like I remember example when you see some series, from a long, like you do a binge watching of certain series, you end up feeling, that you are the main character. And you feel very close to him and closely about him. Or I remember sometimes, when we used to see a very famous Bollywood movies and like a Shah Rukh Khan movie, and you come out of the hall, you feel that
Coach Hota hai, Pak, in
you behave,
Indonesia.
yeah, you behave like you are Shah Rukh Khan, right? Start behaving like that. Or Superman for that. In India, there was a case where somebody watched a Superman movie and then came out of the movie and jumped from the second floor, thinking that he will be able to fly, So So that mirror neuron thing really impacts. And this is just one example I'm going to go through, but this is our Jungian model of emotions, which many brands and many agencies use. You can also use for creating what kind of emotions your brand needs, and how to make what kind of your category needs, what kind, how they want to feel when they're using your product or category, and then align your emotions accordingly, and make sure that your ads are not just product focused. It has got very solid level of emotions attached to it. You have to show emotions, you have to show dramatic scenes, you have to those things, different ways to kind of connect to the audience, because that goes to the original reason why ads were made. Ad was made in such a way that you create an engaging content and then you put your product in between. But nowadays, many ads I see is becoming like so much product centric, they've forgotten about this whole concept that ultimately it's for entertainment and you're inserting your ad. So you say, oh no, I'll just show my product and I'll make it skippable ad on YouTube and make sure that everybody sees it. Like more the people see it, the more they hate you. If they like this guy, and like we did some experiment where people are only looking at the skip button, right? Even if you, so they are in fact waiting for the thing to get over, and the moment skip, they skip it. So again, I think ultimately we have to, emotions is the most important thing. And many of the other things we say earlier, like the celebrity, the music, the mascot, the card, everything ultimately gets connected by emotions. So now coming back to this, what works most? Now, if you remember this, the most what people use is product demonstration, which works the least. And the
So it's
least,
not as per what they are currently used ya, Pak, ya?
yeah, it's just the opposite. What people
Yeah,
use the most
exactly.
least is music. And music is the work which works the most, right? So I think that's where I think the change needs to be done, right? I think
Yeah.
people need to use music more, need to use brand ambassador more. Now, obviously, you cannot use everything and everything, but if you cannot use brand ambassador, let's use music. Because these are something, these special music and brand ambassador has a encoded memory. So people have in their brain the details. Now you just need to go and connect it to them, right? That's why they work the most. Then we have emotional scenes. Emotional scenes always, brings the emotions out, longer memory and everything. Again, cartoons and mascots are strongly linked to that. And creative visual effect, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work, depending upon how strongly you're doing it. And what is the quality of the effects. Sometimes the quality of the effects are very bad, or sometimes too data centric, and then it does not work. So again, has to be very careful in how to use it. Product demonstration, in most cases, it does not work in our case, because most people use a very standard way of product demonstration, because it has become like, oh, if I have to show somebody cooking, I have to show the mother in the kitchen and putting all the vegetables in the pan, and then I have to put the ingredients and then say, wow, we have made such a good thing. So, and you have to show a milk, then you have to pour the milk in a glass and then drink it. Like those are something which has become very cliche. So you go away from the cliche and try to create something unique and
Yeah.
different.
I notice people whenever they see an ad and then they will play with their phone, but they're
Mm.
still listening to it, right? Yeah, that makes
Yes,
sense
right.
that music is
Right.
have an important role here.
Yeah. And also, even if you're not looking at the screen, because you're looking at the skip button, you cannot avoid the music. Music will come to your ear, even in the unspeakable thing, unskippable ad. Even if you're looking at a phone, because when you're looking at a TV and the program has stopped and the ad has come, you might stop looking at the screen, but you'll start looking at your phone, your email or WhatsApp,
Yeah,
whatever. But you can still listen to the music.
exactly.
Or the mother is switched on the TV and working in the kitchen. She cannot see the TV because it's very far, but she can still listen to the
Listen to it.
TV,
Yeah.
right? So I think music is the most important thing in ad, and it is the least used. That's what I think we have found.
Yes.
Mm. So I think last few slides, I think just very quickly, I think this is something, just to give you an idea that actually there are various structure in the ad, and we also try to do this in our level of analysis, which is like there can be humor driven structure, emotion driven, musicals, metaphorical, very abstract ad, visual effect driven structure, competitive structure, means mine is better than your, and that kind of thing, slice of life, event focus, like Ramadan ad or something like that, problem solution, before after, demonstration, educative, promotion driven. So there can be other structures also, but these are some of the big structures which ads are using. So which structures do you think works more and which structures work less? Right. So a very quick poll on this, just to see what people are using nowadays. I think we have put some on the list. Can you
Yeah.
just run the poll?
Okay. So which of this structure you use in your ad currently? You can choose also more than one. I think that nowadays I prefer that humor or emotion, right? It's more give us like okay, we want to see all the scene like watching a short movie. Okay, let's wait until minimum 60%. While waiting the poll, Mahes, there is one question, interesting question. Actually, you already deliver about this, but I think it's okay to deliver it again. That how to calculate the engagement. I think that maybe some of them are late, so they ask us again about how to actually calculate the engagement.
Okay. So engagement is calculated by uh, looking at brain waves, right? Like the very high level of
Using
brain.
our neuro.
Yeah, using a neuro. So when we put the neuro device and we show the people, we see what is the level of brain waves. So there are brain waves. I'll show you that slide. Maybe after this quick poll, I think you can stop.
Yeah. Okay. Let us just finish this poll first.
Yeah.
I'll end the poll, and this is the result.
Yeah, so basically emotion driven structure, but also problem solution, right? And testimonials and slice of life.
Yeah,
Product
testimonial is also 33%, problem solution
problem
also
solution,
32%,
demonstration, educative. I think a lot of these are there.
educative.
So
Yeah.
basically, yeah, I'll just finish this and then go to that. So according to our thing, what works are these five, like we did not have enough data to across each of them, but broadly we looked at a combination effect to humor, emotion, musicals, even metaphorical and abstract, and visual effects. All these are actually working more, again because of the same reasons. I'm going to, because of time, I'll just not, because later on I'm maybe summarizing it, but basically the same 3 or 4 things. And what is working less is very product oriented ones, which is problem solution, right? Before, after, demonstration of products, educative, informative, and product promotion driven. So all these again weaker because it does not focus on the consumer. It does not focus on the, but more focus on the product. It does,
Product, yeah,
yeah, it
exactly.
does not product on the emotions.
Mhm.
And generally these are very less engaging and less what do you call, entertaining in that way. So I'll just quickly summarize what we have learned so far. One is use ad structures which are more emotional oriented, and then use music. I think that is one of the learnings, right? Music more, celebrities, mascots, emotional scenes, and creative visual effect to improve the impact of the ad. Not, you don't have to use all of them, but a combination of 1 or 2 of them to be the central pillar of the ad. But it has to be a very emotional oriented ad. Emotions can be of various types. Even humor is emotion, right? Emotion does not mean always crying or sad, or humor is emotion ad. Even like musicals can be very emotional, depending what can you, and sometimes a metaphorical or abstract art also can be emotional depending upon how you're showing it, show it, and visual driven effect are also sometimes emotional. So use that. And the three things, if you have to remember and go why all these things work, is because one is mirror neurons. When consumers see an ad, do they see themselves in the ad or not? Do they feel that the person on the ad is them or not? First of all, so if it is very emotion oriented, if it is humor, it is using mascots, it's celebrities and creative visual. This suddenly mirror neurons are higher, in those cases. If it dopamine releases or not, again, second point. If it is very much oriented on product, their dopamine does not get released because it's not a pleasure hormone. So whether dopamine getting released or not, and second is whether you are trying to impact the limbic system, and which is where the memory encoding is happening. And all these three things are impacted by these five things, and more importantly, music, celebrities, and mascots or uh, cartoons or emotional seeds. Creative visual effect, I would say it's something sometimes works, sometimes does not work, depending on how it's utilized. But the top four are those ones, and that helps you in creating that. I've given you examples there. Now, since you're talking about that question on engagement, two things I would say that one is this. So
Yes.
basically, we take this device to understand uh, how the brain is reacting to certain stimulus. So which kind of wave it is predominantly giving. And using artificial intelligence and machine learning, we interpret this and say, okay, if gamma and beta waves are predominating and delta and theta waves are not existent, that means they are very engaged that way. So obviously there's a lot of science behind it, and it is something which is a globally accepted thing. But basically that's where we then interpret that data into attention score and relaxation score and say, okay, uh, as the brain is relaxed and getting into more relaxed space, what we're calling as valence. If valence is higher and arousal is also higher, that means they're highly engaged. And we get second by second of the ad, and that's we calculate by looking at how many seconds in ad people are engaged. So in this case, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So out of 30 seconds, 10 seconds people are engaged. That means roughly 33% engagement here.
Okay, I hope that it's answer, yeah, how we'll calculate the engagement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's, I think, is the overall perspective. I think I've taken, 15 minutes, 20 minutes more.
Okay, before we finish it, Mahesh, I want to give one more poll.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that goal was, which product, right? Yeah.
yeah. So we are come to this is actually about our products in neurosensor. We have the we are using all the neuro tools actually for all for some of our research like mind sensory for the product. This is also interesting, Mahesh. I got
Yeah.
so many questions from the our clients, especially that how is it possible to use that product to use the neuro for the product. So it's kind of a product test, but using the neuro tools.
Yes, yes, obviously we have that. That's what the mind sensory is for.
Yeah. So I think that next webinar we will bring that, right?
Yes,
Because
correct.
there is so many questions like nowadays people will test the product and they will just say whether they enjoy or not. But now we also using neuro tools to understand about their opinion as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think that I will end the poll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so that's it. I think if you have any other questions pending, anything interesting, let me know. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you can
Sure.
obviously get to us or Vika one-on-one, and we can
Yeah.
we can answer the
And
question.
for all of you, if you have any question and we can answer it here, so let me know in person. You can drop me a message in my LinkedIn or in my email as well. My name is Vika Indesari. It's easily found in LinkedIn. Okay, I think we already on 3:30, almost 3:30, Mahes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already you deliver all the information here. Thank you, Mahes. I believe that how make the advertising become a viral is to has a potential to skyrocket the brand awareness and then drive engagement, and also of course this is what people always want, is maximize the ROI, right? That's the intention basically.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and by creating the viral marketing, I believe that you guys can be a game changer in advertising. Okay, I think that's all from us. Thank you everyone for joining our webinar. So, selamat siang, terima kasih.
Thank you.